Well, good evening, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I trust that your Thanksgiving evening was today was wonderful. That that you got to be with your friends and your family, and as I got to be with my family today, that we spent today together doing what we do. You know what? And it doesn't, and don't feel like you were a failure because nothing special, nothing amazing happened. But you know what? Just spending time doing what you do together is sometimes so important. It's so relaxing. There was nothing exciting about today except that I got to spend it here with my wife and my son. We ate together. We prayed before our meal. Something that that a lot of times this just doesn't get done in a house. I had the honor of praying before we ate. Oftentimes in restaurants, we leave that task to my son, who's plenty old enough. I mean, it's not as cute as you think as you might be making out. He's 24, so it isn't cute where he puts his little hands together and prays. But it is important that he prays for his family. It's important that he prays for his mom and dad, and it's important that he prays over the food when we go out to eat. I think it's important from a number of levels that people see it happening so often that they don't see families praying together out in public, and I think that that's really a wonderful way to witness and to minister to people. But it's wonderful doing it at home. Our lives are so busy, our lives are so crazy. That when I get home after everybody's gotten home, and when there's food, I just go to the kitchen and eat it and sit. I grab my bowl because I'm a big bowl guy. My wife wonders why I won't get a plate, but everything goes in a bowl. The beans go in the bowl, the rice goes in the bowl, the meat goes in the bowl, the cornbread goes in the bowl, everything goes in the bowl. I just eat out of bowls, and that's what I do. I think because I'm less messy that way, I think. So I've got even around my on my table here in the Spacewell Production Studios here at home, I've got empty bowls where I've had grits for breakfast. This is the South, and I need to find a way to take these bowls into the kitchen and get them washed and put away. But I'm a bowl guy. But it's nice. And today I ate from a bowl as well. But it was nice praying, and it was a highlight of the day really for me. And I'm thankful for it. Before we get the show started today, I think it's important because it is Thanksgiving to read something that I wrote for my Blog Talk Radio show, as this is our Spreaker show. And I did a video, so I'm going to go ahead and read this. If you've been to my Facebook page, you might have already seen it. It reads, "I am thankful for the God that heals. I am thankful for the God that guides a surgeon's hand. I am thankful for the God who speeds recovery. I am thankful for a wife that prays for her husband and loves him. I am thankful for a wife that smiles when it wasn't good. I am thankful for a son that was born to encourage. I am thankful for a son that loves me. I am thankful for a pastor that hears God. I am thankful for a church that prays and acts on God's word. I am thankful for my praise team that understands what biblical praise truly is. I am thankful for a church family for giving me a place to come home to. I am thankful for you, my listeners, and my supporters." All right, we're going to take a little break. We'll be back. Today, or this evening, I'm going to talk about, I think, a really important story and something that, as conservatives, we can learn from, of what happened in Ferguson. You know what? So often, whatever the enemy means for evil, God can turn that very same thing around and use it for good. So, and that's exactly what happened. We'll be back with more of the Will Lawson Show here on Spreaker.com right after these messages.
You have discriminating taste and an eye for the impressive. You need to surround yourself with not only beauty, but quality. That is why you are looking for a new construction home for you and your family. Let the experts at New Homes of Tampa Bay guide you to and through your new home purchase process. With access to hundreds of model homes throughout the Tampa Bay area, New Homes of Tampa Bay is sure to find that perfect match of budget and beauty you are looking for. New Homes of Tampa Bay can save you thousands of dollars while costing you nothing. Call us today before you start your new home search. New Homes of Tampa Bay at 813-770-9452 and at www.newhomestpa.com.
Well, good morning. Are you interested in upping your conservative IQ? To be more solid in your conservative thought, to be able to debate at a higher level, to be able to understand at a higher level what conservatism in America is really all about. Well, I can help you now. Alongside us as partners is a new partner, the RedRiverChronicle.com website. The RedRiverChronicle.com website, whose founder is Kevin Batts, understands what conservatism is all about and understands it in the way they write their articles, their commentary, all the educational material that is on the website, put together in a great way, very easy to navigate. So if you want to up your IQ, go to RedRiverChronicle.com. All right, welcome back to the Will Austin Show here on Spreaker.com. Tell your friends that we're on right now because I think it's really important. This is one of those things where you have what the enemy meant for evil, God can turn around and do something and in the midst of the awfulness, do something wonderful. In the midst of the awfulness, do something wonderful. And this is the lesson of community infusion that is so important. I introduced a concept way back in 2012. 2010. And and maybe I didn't come up with it. The idea. I don't think I'm that smart. But I had never heard it the way that it came to me. It was 2010 because the then chair of the GOP was in Tampa, visiting the victory centers, and the black Republicans had a meeting with him. He wanted to meet with us, and he did, and we talked about outreach. Because it was the buzzword at the time, and I was encouraged because he had said that he had banned the forbidden the phrase minority outreach in his office because it's a snipe hunt. It doesn't exist, and I explained to him what I thought anyway was infusion. How conservatives, what they need to do, what we need to do in non-political ways, we need to move into these urban areas and invest in them, and invest our time, our energy, our finances, ourselves into them. Not to get votes, but to show people love, to show people kindness, to show people compassion and caring. Because no one cares what you know until they know how much you care. And that's really the lesson that's been learned from this. Nobody cares what you know, because everybody knows something or believes they know something. Do you care? Do you actually give a damn about what happens to people, real people? Or is this just some sort of, we want to turn the map red sort of nonsense? Because I couldn't care less about turning the map red. I have a meeting with somebody on Monday here in our area about turning Hillsborough County red. so to speak. And I'm gonna have to tell them that I couldn't give a rat's ass about turning the map red. Do we care about people? Do we genuinely care about people? Because if you do all the right things, all the basic right things first, things will work out. And if I may for a second, my training is music, and I spent some time working with a local high school group, the Bloomingdale High School Raging Bull Band, and what we used to teach the kids in marching band, especially, is that we never go out marching, we never rehearse. We never go out thinking about a rating or score. If we do all the things that we are supposed to do in a pure fashion, and in that context, if we march well, if we play well, if we give 100% in rehearsal, and we care about our audience, because that's our main thing. Do we care about our audience? Do we care about the 10 minutes that they spend with us on that Friday night? Do we care about them in a way that we will do what we need to do here on a Monday evening at rehearsal? If we do all the basics, the ratings, the scores, and all that stuff will work out. Well, I'll tell you what, that philosophy works because that school opened in 1987, and since 1987, it has received superior ratings at its local music performance assessment in marching band every single year since 1987. So I know the concept works. And this is why community infusion over minority outreach is different. There's the difference. Outreach has an ulterior motive. The ulterior motive in outreach is that we are going to make some sort of bullcrap attempt to draw you into what we're doing, as opposed to, here's what we're going to do. We're going to invest in you. Why? Because we care about you. Well, I'm not going to vote Republican. Okay. But that doesn't mean that we can't come out and help you clean up this baseball field for Little League. That doesn't mean that we can't do what we can do to make our community, and where you live is our community too, better. That's the basic idea of community infusion, and I've seen community infusion on steroids the past 2 days. We've all heard about the riots that happened in Ferguson, Missouri, after the announcement was made that the grand jury was not going to indict Darren Wilson in the shooting death of Mike Brown. Now, we can all have our opinion, and we do, because that's the group of people that I deal with. That's you folks. We all can have our opinion about whether Darren Wilson should have been indicted, whether this whole portrayal of Mike Brown as an angel, a gentle giant, all that stuff. We can have that discussion at some point if you choose to. I think it's all nonsense to even have that discussion, but if you want to, you can have it amongst yourselves. Go right ahead. But conservatives, if you do, you are missing a great story. You're missing the point. There was, and some of you have already heard, there was a cake store. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and read her initial update. It starts off, I'm Natalie DeBose of Ferguson, Missouri. I'm a small business owner with a cake shop and bakery dream. First, I would like to thank everyone for their warm wishes, empathy, and support during this crazy, difficult time. I would love to write more, but soon, and we'll try soon, but my business is so behind right now. My shop, which had its grand opening this summer, was vandalized in the riots. My main windows were smashed and the bakery damaged. I'm beside myself, but with the holidays, I can't stop working. I'm very busy cleaning and trying to repair my business. I'm also trying to catch up on baking cakes for Thanksgiving. I promise to update this later. I am truly mixing batter right now. I begin baking and selling cakes at local flea markets, slowly saving money to start my own small business. I love to bake. It was my dream, and I am working hard to accomplish that dream. The outpouring of support on Twitter, Facebook, and the media has been amazing. I was in tears. It was suggested that I start this account by a new friend, and here it is. I do need help to rebuild and create a website, so any donations would be a huge assistance. I am not sure where to find the money to repair my little bakery, but even if you just stop by to say hello, thank you. I've never felt such love. Thank you, Natalie. Well, that was the initial note that Natalie DeBose wrote on GoFundMe. And her initial goal was $20,000. Well, folks, I'll tell you what. After this story broke in the news and Fox News, Rush Limbaugh, in the Blaze, on my show, the Will Austin Show, on Blog Talk Radio, and all sorts of places, Huffington Post, everywhere really. When I first saw it yesterday morning, I guess, of the $20,000 she set her GoFundMe account up for, it was at $88,000, $87,000. This evening at 11:17 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, her GoFundMe account is at $245,131. And as I read some of the notes, a lot of these donations are $5, $10, $15, $25, $50, $30, that kind of thing. Most of them anonymous. And now they're starting to come in from all over the world. Her last update was an hour ago, and she writes, "I must now expand my thanks internationally. Apologies are warranted, as I've only had time to read a fraction of the thousands of loving and supportive messages sent to me, but a shout out to big thank you to Dubai, Japan, Germany, Australia, and the UK that I know of so far. This is a small world after all. I finally stopped baking and now having a holiday dinner with my parents, relatives, and daughter and son and friends. Happy Thanksgiving, America and the world." And when you read through some of these notes that people leave, Dana Hines, $150, says, "Dear Natalie, my husband and I send you love from Canada." Greg Cook sends $50 and says, "Praying for you, Natalie." And there's some, let me see. There you go. There are some anonymous gifts. There you go. $10 from Ruth Van Horn. "Hello, Natalie. Your story and fortitude has touched me. I wish I could give more, but every little bit will hopefully help. Hope you have a lovely Christmas, and 2015 is a successful year for you." Mark Dolmy, $20, says, "Natalie, we are pulling for you for an amazing rebuild and success." $20 from John DiFederico. "Good luck with rebuilding. I read your story and wanted to help." $25 from the Leach Insurance Agency. This is from George B. $20 from George B. "Dear Natalie, we started a small business just 18 months ago, and we were doing all right. I can't imagine what it would be like to show up at our shop tomorrow morning and find a mob took pleasure in destroying it. Heartbreak is not strong enough term. You are what is right about capitalistic democracy. It is grassroots form, not them. Cheers, madam, and good luck rebuilding." This is from George B. A $20 donation from George B. From Mr. and Mrs. Dan Gurnox. "Natalie, my wife and I are members of the Tea Party. I am Mexican and let's see. I am Mexican and white, and my wife is from Mexico. Became a U.S. citizen in July. We are saddened by actions of people in Ferguson that damage your business. We are a fixed income, and we know that this donation isn't much, but we wanted to help. God bless you and happy Thanksgiving." That's $10 from Mr. and Mrs. Dan Gurnox. Again, a couple that they're members of the Tea Party where they are. I like that it's important that people are saying things like, "Oh, this is coming from some place where, you know what, people said it wouldn't come." This is what infusion is. This is infusion. This is where we care about the people who live in this community, because this is our community as well. We care about the people who live in this country because this is our country, all of it. Even Ferguson, even on West Florence Street in Ferguson, Missouri, this is our country. These are and people like Natalie DuBose is a small business owner. She's the very type of person that we want to encourage to continue. We want people to do what she's done. We want people to save their money. We want people to risk. We need people to risk their capital. And in this case, we have small businesses like this. They're not just risking some capital they borrow from a bank. They're risking their savings, their life savings, everything they've got invested. That's what they're risking. They're risking all of their safety. That's what they're risking. And when this kind of stuff happens, can a community, even a community as large as the United States, can we pull together? As a conservative community, can we pull together to say, you know what? No, we will not let evil win. We will not let the anarchists win. We will not let the forces of hate and division win. We will not let them win. Well, right now, in Natalie's GoFundMe account, it's $245,186. That's what it's all about. That is community infusion. That is community infusion. Can you do that where you live? Yes, of course you can. Can you show that sort of support for the neighborhoods in your area where you live? Of course, and you must. This is for me the big flower growing out of that of the cesspool of what's happened there, of all the negativity that's happened there, all the tragedy and horribleness and negativity, especially that as we hear people talk about it and comment on Facebook and Twitter and the like. This is the beauty that we trade our ashes and God gives us beauty. We give Him our worst stuff. We act in ways that are horrendous, that are terrible. And what does God give us back? God gives us back this story of fortitude, this story of strength, this story about how people can come together. We trade beauty for ashes. He trades beauty for ashes. We give Him flamed out buildings, and He gives us the story of how a people came together, a nation came together to help someone they've never met and probably will never meet. There's a very good chance that none of us will ever meet in person Natalie DuBose of Ferguson, Missouri. But you know what? When you took out your debit card or your credit card and decided that you would help, you didn't care if you'd ever meet her. You didn't care if you'd ever talk to her. You didn't care. You didn't care if she didn't return your email or your tweet. You didn't care because God had touched you, and you knew that you had to do something. You had to do some part. You had to be some part. That you had to be a part of something positive. Now, as exciting as this story and as big as this story is, I think it's huge. Look at the numbers. More than $250,000 in 2 days, raised by 7,537 people. That's 7,500 people, and that's all. That's not a lot. You know what, you think about it. And I know you're thinking about this because my audience is good. You're already ahead of me. You're thinking, well, that's not a lot of people. No, it isn't a lot of people. It's not a lot of people. Less than 10,000 people have raised over $250,000. And there's only 2 people who have donated. I mean, the top donation is $2,000. And there are two families that were able to donate $2,000. Most of it is 100, 50, 75, 35, 25, 10, 5. It is absolutely incredible. It is the best story. It is a story that is coming out of this horrible, terrible thing going on. And I think that that if we're paying attention, it's a lesson. It's a lesson. That's about $33 average, and my math isn't really good there. But it's about $30 a person. A little less than about $30 a person right now. $245,186, maybe a little bit more, because it's every time I refresh the screen, it kicks up. There you go, $245,211. Kicks up a little bit every time, and that's in 2 days. Imagine what you could get done, what we can get done if we understand the power of moving together. What can we get done with the power of moving together? That the outpouring of support for this woman that we will never meet. Now, I say we, but I don't mean we. I mean y'all. Because I am going to start Monday, as hard as I can, to get her on the phone, to have her on the show next week. I am going to do whatever I can. I'm going to be as obnoxious and intrusive as I can to get 10 minutes of time talking to her. I'm so impressed, because it's got to be tough. It's got to be tough. Natalie's Cakes and More is not a McDonald's or a Walgreens. The McDonald's closes up and says, "Screw it, we'll just build two more restaurants in the next town to make up for the ones that's not in Ferguson anymore." And Walgreens says the very same thing. Screw it, we'll just put two in the next town to make up for the one that we're not going to rebuild in Ferguson. Same thing with Boost Mobile. So what? The Boost Mobile store is probably only employing 10 people as it is. They'll move those jobs across town somewhere, to St. Louis or somewhere. Natalie's Cakes and More didn't have that option. The only option she had was to be open every day, probably 6 or 7 days a week, make cakes for special events, make cakes for weddings, make cakes for birthdays, make cakes for this really busy season, cakes and pies for Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up. The New Year's parties. That's the only choice that she has. Her choice was, I got to have this business open. I got to work, because that's how she eats. That's how she lives indoors. That's how she supports her family, takes care of her kids, all that stuff. She didn't have the choice not to do it. That was never an option for Natalie DeBose. That was never an option. And we have come together to the tune of $245,211 as of 11:29 p.m. in 2 days. It was important to me to bring this to your attention. It was really important to me to bring this to your attention. What we can get done. What's possible. What's possible. All right, we'll take a little break. We'll be back with more of the Will Austin Show here on Spreaker. Tell your friends. And if you haven't been there yet, I'm going to give you, when we get back, I'll give you the GoFundMe address, so you can, if you'd like to, you too can get in on this wonderful blessing. All right, we'll be back with more of the Will Austin Show right after these messages.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
All in together now. We can make it better now. Come on, can we do it?
Yeah, you know that we can.
We'll rope it up,
Cause we know how to jump.
we'll roll it out,
Cause we know how to skate.
we'll cut it down,
Cause we know what to eat.
we'll swap it out.
We eat healthy stuff.
Can we do it?
Yeah, you know that we can.
Can we do it?
Yeah, you know that we can.
Yeah, well come on.
Today's a good day to grab your kids and hang out with them for an hour. Dance, walk, play a sport, or cook a healthy meal. Because just moving a little and eating better every day can help make you and your child healthier.
Can we do it?
Yeah, you know that we can.
We'll ball it up,
Cause we know how to hoop.
we'll mess around,
Cause we know how to play.
we'll drop it down,
Cause we know how to dance.
we'll veg it up.
Veggie night and day.
Can we do it?
Search We Can online to find doable tips and activities that you can use every day to keep you and your kids healthy. Remember, that's We Can. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
All right, welcome back to the Will Lawson Show here on Spreaker.com. We appreciate you being here. You know what? There is a chat room. I don't know if you realize that, but there is a chat room on Spreaker. If you can find it, I'm on the chat room. This chat room is open, and I have the GoFundMe account for Natalie's Cakes and More. It's Natalie. It's spelled correctly. It's not spelled weird. I like when people spell names, traditional names like Natalie correctly. And it's www.gofundme, all one word, .com /NATALIES cakes, CAKES, in the letter N, more, MORE. Natalie's Cakes and More. That's GoFundMe.com /Natalie Cakes and More. Not and more, but in more. And you'll see you'll see her picture there in front of her store. This is a picture, I guess, when they of their grand opening. And right now the total amount is $245,216. There was a donation just 3 minutes ago from Alec Hughes. Let's see. There you go. This is $20 donation. 11 minutes goes from Nancy Edwards. Natalie, you are an encouragement and an inspiration to me, my husband. We love you. We love you, our sister. Praying for you. Hugs. From $35 from Natasha. I can't remember that last name. Please keep doing what you're doing. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. This is we're talking about. This is 7,540 donations total. And they are from all over the world, and they are from all sorts of lives. So, people who are conservative, people who are liberal, people who are Democrat, people who are Republicans, people who are independents, and that's what it's all about. This is the lesson that we have to learn. The lesson that we've learned, that we should learn from Ferguson, is that this community infusion effort that people are doing, people are thinking that they're reaching out. And they're not reaching out. What they're doing is they're infusing themselves into this situation. That's what they're doing. They're infusing themselves into the situation. Larry Chambers, $10. Stobie Peel, $50 4 minutes ago. Best of luck to you. Alec Hughes, $5. Mike Callum, $5, 24 minutes ago. When just after this show started. So. We are happy to continue to report this. We will be on for another 25 minutes or so because I think this is extremely, extremely, extremely important that we get to $250,000 as soon as possible, because this not only you know what? I know that she was only thinking 20,000, but this not only gets her back to where she was, but this allows her, like any small business, now to help someone else. Now she can expand if that's what she needs to do. Now she can have any small business would love to have this, a rainy day fund. Now she has a rainy day fund because we don't know. When we think about Ferguson, we don't know how this is going to play out. The feds are still investigating. The feds might bring an indictment against Darren Wilson. They might not. If they do not, will there be more violence? I don't know. But right now, we know what we know now is that we have protected one of our own. And what I mean by one of our own is this: somebody who's a capitalist, somebody who's a small business owner, somebody who understands what hard work is, somebody who's a dreamer. That we have circled our wagons and we have done all we can even from a distance to protect them. That's what we do. That's infusion. That's not outreach. That we have sent through the digital means of GoFundMe to invest ourselves into Natalie's Cakes and More. That we are invested. That's what it's all about. That's infusion. We've infused ourselves into the situation and are willing to stay there as long as we need to stay there and do whatever we need to do. You notice that we didn't show up and go, okay, here's what you need to do. We know that Natalie knows what she needs to do. Now, I'm not so sure that she's going to wake up tomorrow and look at this account and go and find there's $300,000 in it. I'm sure she had plans and dreams, but she didn't know that she was going to have this ready capital here in a little bit to deal with. That she wasn't going to have this little tax problem to deal with, and it is a tax situation now. Now that she has a sudden influx in 2 days. We'd all be running to our accountants if we had a sudden influx of $250,000 in 2 days. What do I do? How do I handle this? How do we take care of this? How do we use these donated funds? This isn't money that she can say, well, she sold $250,000 worth of cake or donuts or cupcakes. This is if you put a tip jar out and suddenly there was $250,000 in it in 2 days. This is a situation that now, I mean, she's got her accountant on the phone going, what do we do? It's a great problem to have, but it's a problem. It's a situation. And I'm pretty confident that they'll handle it in the best way possible, or I wouldn't have donated yesterday. I wouldn't have donated yesterday. I am sure that they'll handle it in the best way possible. But this is the kind of situation. These are the kind of things that we've got to do, that we have got to be a part of. So if for some reason you haven't yet, then you must. Then you must get in on it right now. Because I believe that God's got a blessing for you. Or, I mean, I believe that God's got a blessing for me for getting involved at the level that I'm getting involved in, or I wouldn't. I believe that God has something good for me. Those of us who have needs need to sow. And there you go. There's another $25 gift from Megan Gonod. I'm sorry this happened to you. Sending endless love and support as you rebuild your dreams. $25 from Megan Gonod. Just now. Thank you, Megan, for giving to the GoFundMe for Natalie's Cakes and More. We're going to be here for another 20 minutes. We hope to, before we're done, get up to the $250,000 mark, another $4,500 that I'm sure that we can do. I am positive that we can do. All right, listen, we're going to take a little break. We'll be back with more of the Will Lawson Show right after these messages. We will see you in just a little bit. Remember, just go to gofundme.com /Natalie's Cakes in, the letter N, more. Natalie's Cakes and more. And give what you can. Give what you can. If it's $5, great. If it's $500, great. If it's $5,000, even better. Do what you can. All right, we'll be right back right after these messages.
I'll pick you up after school. Okay, I got it.
It's easy to take a day for granted. You and your family are connected by routine, and you stick to it. But what if a disaster strikes without warning? What if life as you know it has completely turned on its head? What if your day's routine is disrupted and you can't reach your family? Have you planned for that? Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed. Today. Learn how at www.ready.gov. Ready.gov. This message brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the Ad Council.
Hey, is that a faucet running?
Nope, that's not a faucet. That's a river rushing through the forest.
It is?
Yeah, forest rivers provide over 100 million people with clean water to drink. The water comes straight from the forest to us. In fact...
What? I can't hear you because of the vacuum.
That's not a vacuum. That's the trees in the forest cleaning up the air we breathe.
How do trees clean the air?
They soak up the dirty air on their leaves, branches, and trunks, which means clean air for us.
Cool. I didn't know that.
Yep, but the forest does more than give us clean air and water. It gives us shade for hot days, birds to listen to, and trees to climb.
Wow, that's awesome. I didn't know how cool the forest could be. Hey, let's go explore some more.
Visit the forest today and enjoy all it does, just for you. To learn more about the forest and find one near you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Happy holidays, everybody. This is Dave Koz for RAD, recording artists, actors, and athletes against drunk driving. When you're traveling during the holidays and see someone who's had too much to drink about to get behind the wheel of their car, get the car keys. Your friends will thank you for it because friends don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
All right, welcome back to the Will Austin Show here on Spreaker.com. This is really the most amazing story. You know what? There's so much negativity. There's so much awfulness about this whole Ferguson thing, how it happened earlier. You know what? There's so much focus on people like Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson and the new Black Panther Party and all that stuff. And it's just stuff. Doesn't mean a hill of beans. And all those people. And who said what? You know what? And who called for this? Did the president call in a National Guard soon enough? And where was the governor with the state National Guard? And where were these people? We could talk about this ad nauseum. What it really says in the report, was this grand jury? We could battle around these arguments forever and miss what God has for us in this story, and totally miss what God really has for us. You know what? A lot of people, I've seen a lot of tweets and a lot of Facebook statuses about how people are discouraged and how people are saddened by it all and think that maybe we will never be what the president has said, maybe that we are not what we're supposed to be. Well, that may be true in one sense, but Mr. President, I would beg to differ with you on the love and the caring and the generosity of the American public. We come through for one another. We just come through. And we continue to come through. 4 minutes ago, Daryl Archuleta donates $5 and says, relocate, rebuild. Many towns in America would love to have you and would appreciate your hardworking, independent, smart-minded, entrepreneurial spirit. Come to San Antonio, Texas. Great weather, nice law-abiding citizens. Where the Spurs win championships, we don't riot, burn businesses or police cars. We all love people, respect each other as a city, do not tolerate mob violence, and have great low cost of living and love cake. Accept your blessings with renewed faith and take it to heart. Relocate, rebuild. Well, you know what? That's a little advice, and there's a donation for $5 of encouragement. That's what we do, and that's how we do it. And this is what the conservative message for 2015 needs to be. This is, ladies and gentlemen, this is a godsend for the conservative movement. This is what the enemy meant for evil. God has turned around and turned it for good. This is the message. This is the strategy, if you will, for the conservative message, based on kindness and caring and love and compassion. And this is how, that you can see, this is something you can build from. This is the bridge that you have to build to people. And we're building this bridge $5, $10 at a time to somewhere where you never thought it would go. To someone you never thought you'd meet. To someone that you never thought you'd care about. That you're cheering for somebody that you never thought you'd cheer for. That's what this is. And this is the lesson that God has for us in all of this. Now, let's not get nutty. God did not cause this to happen. God did not cause these riots to happen. God did not cause that young man to be shot in the street. That is not what I'm saying at all. What the enemy meant for evil, God has turned this horrible situation into something good and given us a lesson that we can learn from. That's what I'm saying. God doesn't give people disease and make them sick, and God doesn't give people cancer so they can become closer to Him. That's all just nuttiness. That's just nuttiness. But God can take that horrible situation that happens and turn it around and have something good come out of it. And that's exactly what He's done here. Something as good has come from this horrendous situation. To the tune of, at 11:48 here on the 27th of November, as we approach tomorrow, of $245,331 to help Natalie DeBose in Ferguson, Missouri, and Natalie's Cakes and More, to make her strong, to make her be able to actually help somebody else at some point. That's what's really important. Can she help somebody else at this point? Can she solidify her business? Can she expand? Can she move on? Does she have now she has a rainy day fund that she didn't have before. Now she has all sorts of now her dreams and ideas can be realized. Even in the midst of horribleness. Even in the midst of horribleness. That's how God does it. That's how God works. And that's the lesson that we are to learn this evening. That is the lesson that you are to learn this evening. That's what's exciting about this. That's why, I couldn't wait to get on and to talk about this today. I had to spend some time with the fam, of course, that I couldn't wait to do. And as it's getting late, as it's turning into tomorrow, the wife's got to work tomorrow, and I've got some errands. Surprise, surprise. Tomorrow, so it means that it's almost midnight here. It's almost tomorrow here on the East Coast. So we got to get we got to get this done a little bit, and the old man's got to get his rest. I've got to get my rest. That's how my recovery has been going so well. I have been really good about resting. But this is really, but I had to talk to you about this because it's very, very important. And I was hoping that as the most of the country is still awake, that we can continue to help Natalie, and hopefully in the next 10 minutes get to $250,000 of her $20,000 ask. And like the word says that God can supply our, well past whatever we ask and dream and could think of. And I'm sure when she put this GoFundMe account up and her goal was $20,000 probably seemed like the whole world. She couldn't even have dreamed or imagined that it would end up being 10 times what she thought. But it is $245,471. It's $20 donations from Lawrence and Myra Puckett. Good luck, Natalie, and your girl. Good luck, Natalie, and your girls deserve it. $20 from John DeBarrio. $20 from Greg Stevenson. $20 from Chris Allen. Prayers and best wishes. Keep you and your family in our prayers. Enjoy the holidays. From Chris Allen. We just read that. And those are in just the last few minutes. This is really, really important. I think that this one thing that we can do is what the people in Ferguson need to see. This is, there are people who are sad. There are people who are frustrated. People who are who have hate and bitterness in their heart. This is what they need to see. They need to see God's love. A lot of times it's easy to talk about God's love. It's easy to talk about that God cares about us and protects us, and it's easy. It's easy for us to talk about it, especially if you've already seen it in your own life. We forget that some people have never seen it. Some people have grown up, are born into, or grown up in areas where it just doesn't seem as obvious as it might seem to you or I. They need to see this. They need to see that in the midst of all this, that God is still on the job, and God still touches the hearts of other people. That all these people, let me get back to the website, all these 7,553 people, most of which Natalie doesn't have any idea who they are, have said, you know what? We have heard your cry, and here we are. God has heard your prayer. We want Natalie to know that God has heard your prayer, hon. That when you went to bed 2 nights ago, after learning that your store, your dream, your livelihood had been damaged, and you didn't know what, and you really didn't know what you were going to do, and what you were going to do it with, and you cried out in the middle of the night, you cried out, Jesus, your prayer was heard. That's what this is. That's what this is all about. This is what this is the lesson that she has learned, and this is a lesson that we have learned. That's what this is all about. And the people around there, this is a lesson that you've been a part of helping them see. Because this is a story that needs to be told. Not if Mike Brown was a good kid or a bad kid. I don't know. You and frankly neither do you. You saw a videotape that you don't know where it came from. You don't know how it got, but you don't have any idea if he's a good kid or a bad kid. You see grieving parents. Even Darren Wilson said, you know what, when asked about Mike Brown's parents, these are grieving parents. He's willing to give them a break and show them grace because he understands they're grieving parents. But there's all sorts of discussion about those things, and a lot of you are missing the point. You're missing the lesson that God is showing us. And we mustn't. We mustn't. Natalie DeBose, you prayed, you cried out, and God heard you. And God works through human beings. He works through you and I. $10 at a time. $10 from Lindsay D. Burkett. $50 from David Ziegler. Rebuild and share your blessings with others harmed in Ferguson. $10 from Anonymous. Not that anonymous, but $10 anonymously. How about that? $10 from Greg Stevenson. $20 from Greg Stevenson. That's what it's all about. This is how we do it. This is how we make things happen. This is how we are the blessing. You know what? I think that we should. There is a hashtag on Twitter that says, I am Mike Brown. What we should turn this into is that I am be the blessing. How about that? Be the blessing. How about that? We'll just go ahead and tweet that. That's what it's all about. Be the blessing. Why do some people have and some people don't? Well, God provides so we can be the blessing for somebody else. Whatever we have. And some have more than others. Always have. Always have. But we can be somebody's blessing. That $5 doesn't seem like it's going to matter when you're talking about $245,531. Every little, here's a cliche, but here's the reality. Every little bit helps. You are sowing seed into a blessing. You are sowing seed into a lesson for someone and this lesson that Natalie DeBose has learned is that if she cries out, that God sees her, that she is not, in all of this nonsense and craziness, she has not been forgotten. God has told her that you have not been forgotten. I have not ignored you. The cloud of craziness and silliness and destruction has not obscured you from his view, Natalie DeBose. That's what this lesson is for you. This isn't just money so you can buy new ovens. That's not what this is about. This is the lesson that God says, daughter, I have seen you. I have heard you cry. And this is the lesson for the rest of us, that this is how God does work. It's for me, it's very, very exciting. It's more than just a feel-good story. It's a life-affirming story. That, you know what, that tomorrow, that when I get up tomorrow, that I will be able, that I know that God hears my prayers, that God hears my prayers for my family, God hears my prayers for my business, God hears my prayers for my health. That's what's exciting to me. That even through whatever madness and whatever silliness may be occurring around me, that God is still the God who answers prayer and cares about us. That's what this is all about. All right, listen, we got to get out of here. We'll be back on the air tomorrow on Blog Talk Radio. You can go to WillieLawsonShow.com and you can hear this show up on our website. You can also go to WillieLawsonShow.com or go to blogtalkradio.com/WillieLawsonShow and hang out with us tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. For our normal Friday, our Friday Fee for All show. When we wrap all this stuff up, we're going to talk more about Natalie's Cakes and more. There's also another organization in Ferguson that's done a good job, that's continuing to do a good job for kids. We're going to talk about them tomorrow. because this is when we can infuse. This is where we practice our community infusion. And this is the message that we're going to send, that conservatives are going to send to the nation. That we are here to help, and it is our community that we care most about. All right, we got to get out of here. Thanks for coming to the Will Austin Show. We will see y'all tomorrow on the Will Austin Show on Blog Talk Radio, and maybe a live stream feed. I don't know. You'll have to tell me if you want a live stream feed. All right, we got to get out of here. Thanks again. Just like always, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, take care of yourself. We'll see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.